All right, guys, I'm super thrilled to be here in this podcast with the one and only award-nominated and winner, artist, songwriter, everything, producer, Damian Wyldes, our very own Damian Wyldes. So if you're looking for real estate advice, today is not going to be the day, guys. We're just going to go ahead and focus on Damian. Damian is local talent.
We're going to focus on this real estate.
All this right here. All this right here. So it's going to be a fun interview. As you guys know, a lot of you guys know Damian from, local venues or high school or, school or just the community itself. Not because he's a friend of mine, but I can tell you he's one of the best artists we have seen in our city. He's won many awards. He's won many nominations. He has a local studio, a lot of things. So we're going to go over all that stuff. So Damian, how are you, brother?
Doing good. Cheers.
Thank you for being here, man. So happy to see you.
Good. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for taking a break off of your real estate, what is it? Your real estate information
podcast.
Podcast to give me a little bit of opportunity to present myself and to talk a little bit about my music. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, brother. I'm thankful. I know that you've been traveling a lot, with all the nominations and all the awards that you've been winning, and the new album that you have out. So I know you have very busy. We have been trying to do this for a few weeks now because Damian is busy and been traveling and stuff. But thank you for coming in here, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's so happy. I'm so happy to have you here, and happy that this is going to be our first non-real estate. I can't think of a better person to do it. So first of all, tell us about how long have you been writing your music? I know you write the lyrics and the music too, right?
Yeah, I write lyrics, music, most arrangements, things like that. I've had a few collaborators along the way. Like this last album, I have a feature with Kit Wakely, and I've had two of the first two singles off of this album were actually. I had a guest violinist, which is from Italy, and he's like a really good friend of mine as well. Wow. I'll remember the name in just a second.
Not that good of a friend yet.
Yeah. Sorry. No, but I'll remember the name in a bit. But he plays amazingly. If you ever heard like Still and Time to Go, he did the violin on those. And then I, of course, all the other songs were the violin was done by our house violinist Tommy Joe,
who's very good as well.
He's really, really good. He actually, the cool thing about him is he's not only is he a good violinist, but he's also like a very person of his word, which is very weird in musicians. He's like, hey, if I'm gonna do this, he's like, yeah, I told you I was gonna do this. So
committed.
Yeah, he's very committed to what he says he's gonna do, which is like very strange in musicians, because musicians are usually, for the most part, they're flaky. Except for my group of musicians that I've had with me for a while. I call them my musical brothers and sisters, Paulina Ortiz, Jose Gardea, and Tommy Joe, and Paulina's boyfriend, Alex Guerrero, also, he's a percussionist now. And they're all very like committed musicians. So they're like, hey, whatever it takes, like they're professional. They're as professional as possible. So I've been able to take them to gigs out of town. Like we played in Atlanta. I went out to the ISSA Awards in Atlanta, and we performed main stage at the awards. It was
super awesome.
Like probably the biggest stage that I played so far.
Awesome.
But it was just like they were super pro.
So you took the whole band with you?
Oh yeah. We every time I go do good things like that or cool things like that, I try to make sure to take them. In fact, last year we're so good friends, and like we're just like cool. Like we have a good brotherhood kind of. That last time, these last Grammys, I was able to even take them to the Grammys with me. So it was like that was fun.
That was awesome. I bet that was very motivational for them as well.
Oh yeah, it was pretty intense. It was pretty cool. Wow. Well, except for that second that I met Mike Tyson.
Okay.
But he almost punched me in my face.
Speaking of meeting celebrities and stuff, do they ever confuse you with Momoa?
No, but they always tell me that like. Has anybody ever told you that you look like Jason Momoa? And I'm like, that's discount Jason Momoa to you, okay?
Maybe you can be ¿cómo se llama? A stunt double for.
Yeah, I could. Well, we're like the same height and everything. So yeah, like I literally would look kind of similar.
Yeah, and then with the hair and the beard and stuff. I was looking at your the album. I think it was the one with Greed. When you come out with, you have your face and your hair loose and stuff. So I was like, oh, stunt Momoa. El Damian Wyldes. Yeah. So speaking of your albums, I know you're promoting Borderland Roots right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about what kind of music you write, man. I mean, what's your genre? Right? Now that we have all these different roots and all these different branches out of different genres, it's not like back in the old days. It was just like rock or punk rock or it's the blue R&Bs or blues or jazz. Now there's like one band or one artist can be in many different, be dipping into very different genres of music.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you write.
Okay, well, just generally, vocal wise, I guess I'm more of a blues singer.
Nice.
Vocals, like if you listen to my vocals, are very bluesy. But musically, it's more of like a folk country kind of thing, almost outlaw country sometimes. So it has like that kind of vibe. But I call it Southwestern folk. Like that's like the name that I've actually called it before, but it doesn't exist. It's like I'm pretty much making up the genre kind of. But whenever I submit for Grammys or whenever I've been on the ballots and things like that, I'm under American Roots. This year particularly, this album, it got moved to Best Americana album. So we're under Best Americana album for that album. So
Which
it's
is
just
a bigger umbrella, I guess.
Yeah, it's a big umbrella. It's a lot of majors are always in that category, and I think the only independent artist that has won a nomination was 2012, Lindy Chorn. So I'm hoping we'll break that stride this year.
Nice. Very cool.
We'll know by November 15th.
So the whole album is up for hopefully a nomination, or is it just a specific song?
No, it's the whole album. It's like Best Americana album. So
Super cool,
So,
man. You said a Southwest folk, right?
Southwestern folk. Yeah.
Southwestern folk. Okay. When you said that the term I think it's called Southwest rock and roll, Southern rock and roll, or something with CCR and Lynyrd Skynyrd and all that music. It's not like that, right? It's something a little different, more country,
No.
more.
Yeah. It's folk, so it's like it's slightly
folk.
more country. It's slightly more. A lot of it has there's songs in there that sound country, but obviously my vocals aren't twangy, so it's like not
Which is
country.
pretty cool, man, because you have the blues and the country, and I mean, of course, most of us know that blues was the stepping stone to all these different genres. Now we have all these different. But I mean, you have the blues roots and stuff. I'm particularly a fan of music, and I love music, but I'm a big blues, jazz, and all that kind of stuff. And I hear your voice, and I hear the combination that you're doing with some of this like kind of dark country a little bit. With I guess Americana. So it's kind of hard to coin into one thing because it's very versatile, and the way obviously your Hispanic roots and your voice.
Me?
Joy. Yeah, and being in the borderland, and your blues raspy voice and the type of music that you do, and the big guitar that we hear and stuff. It's really cool, man. I really like it. Not because you're a friend of mine, but I really enjoy it. I really like it.
Thank you.
The music that you've written, of course, there's a long list, because you've been doing this for what, like 20, 30 years? How long have you been doing this?
Over 20 years easily.
Over 20
We'll
years.
just leave it at 20 years.
Yeah, he was 10 when he started. But so and I have seen, we were talking about this earlier, throughout the years, I have seen the evolution of his music and how more complex and so more, I guess, more soul into the music. And I don't mean just soul as far as a rhythm. I mean soul as far as you have more of yourself and your character into the music, how you're pouring into it. And that's super cool because, I mean, you're maturing as a human being, but also as an artist.
Yeah.
And it's very cool to see that, we were talking about your earliest albums back in the early 2000s, a little more electronic in there and stuff. And now we have more of this dark, not that, I don't want to say the word dark, but more of this like outlaw country
More
music.
raw kind of.
Yeah.
There's a more rawness to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Complete, I can see that you have a complete artistic license. I mean, you are doing the music that you are, and that's it. You know what I mean? You're not putting yourself into one category or another just to please the masses or just to sell records. This is who you are, and and that's what I mean when I see that. I see more of your soul into the music that you're writing, which is pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's actually what I've been told a lot through peers that I have in like the Recording Academy and things like that. Really, really amazing. I mean, amazing musicians, and they're like, hey, like I really respect that you're doing this. Like it's like you're not like conforming to anything. You're not doing. This is like very original. This is like you, and it's like I love it. It's very like cool. Original. So hopefully that rings in people's ears sometimes. You know what I mean? So that's cool. I like that.
I remember a few years back, it must have been probably 4 or 5 years. I mean, you can correct me on the time frame. You were writing Greed. You were barely writing it. Like, oh, you know what? We have a nickname that we say among each other. But he's like, hey, you know what? He calls me by that nickname. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm writing the song. Check it out. What do you think? And it was in the very early stages. We were barely, just doing the guitar and stuff. And I was like, man, I mean, I was blown off. I was like, shit, this is good shit. You know what I mean? This is good. And has that been your biggest hit? Because I know that you got
So far, yeah. Well,
tell us about
yeah, pretty much.
I know that the Netherlands, the European market. Tell us about how that went.
Well,
how that resonated out
this was pre-COVID, so this was like 2019. So it all of a sudden hit like number one on a list in the Netherlands, and well, it's kind of funnier because it kind of started climbing up that chart, and all of a sudden I was like 3, then 2, and number 1 was Ramstein on that list.
Shit.
And people were like I literally got messages from people from this city and from other cities that it was weird that they're like, oh, congratulations on hitting number 2, but don't ever imagine that you're gonna beat Ramstein. and I was like, well, what's up with that? Like, who cares? I mean, like, they're amazing. They're like in their own right. They're just like, especially in the Netherlands, they're like gods
big
out
names,
there.
of course,
They're huge names. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, no problem. Thanks. You know, I was like, that's a weird underhanded compliment. You know, I was like, whatever. It was cool. And then like the next time the charts came out again, I was literally number 1 and Ramstein was number 2.
Shit.
And I was like, oh my God, it was like crazy.
In your face, Ramsey.
Yeah. No, I even wrote a post. I'm like, haha, everybody said I wasn't going to do this. You know?
Wow.
But after that, like that same song hit like number 7 in another indie chart in the UK. And it hit like number 8 in another indie chart in Australia. So I was like, we got to go to Europe. Yeah, we got to go. So we were actually planning a huge tour that was going to go. We were going to base out of Amsterdam. And then we were gonna go to Italy, the UK, Ireland. Like we were gonna like tour out of, because everything's kind of close. So we were just gonna tour for like 15 days out there, and that was like kind of out of pocket, and we were it was like our thing. So I was doing that, and then while that was happening, I got invited to another tour in the UK through another artist. This artist, his name is Oliver Sean. What's up, dude? Really cool artist. He's like a blues artist. And he was like, hey, do you want to feature on my album? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Right away I said yes. So we were doing that, and then he's like, hey, my label wants to know if you want to tour out there in the UK, like all expenses paid, just fly out here and we'll take care of everything else. And I was like, yeah. I was like, for sure. Right away I said yes. Then because right away I said yes, they had invited me to do another tour in the first quarter of 2020 in India. With VH1 of India. I was like, oh my God. Like everything was like puzzle falling into place. You know what I mean? I was like, this is going to be a cool year. Yeah. And then COVID happened. And
you're at home just like...
I was like, wow, this sucks. Yeah, so I got screwed on all fronts. I lost money because on Airbnb, things were already paid, and we were like getting ready to actually go. And then the other 2 tours, I mean, I wasn't paying anything into it, but they all got canceled.
Oh man.
And, yeah, it was. But I mean, that same year, I was supposed to. They people thought I was going to get nominated with that song. So like because of that, I got invited to 2 pre-Grammy showcases like right before the Grammys. So the Grammys were like in the end of January of 2020. Like right like days before COVID, literally. I think we came back with COVID. We were like, we call it patient 0.
You out of here?
Yeah, probably. I remember because I went with an engineer, and nobody knew it. Nobody had even been talking about. Nobody had said the word COVID or nothing yet. But he came back and he got sick. He came back sick, and then he was like, oh, I'm super sick. Like I'm gonna go to Juarez to a doctor. My wife is taking me. I'm like, oh, what's wrong? He's like, oh man, I can't breathe. So I'm sure he had COVID, but nobody even had mentioned the word COVID. So he's probably patient 0 in Juarez.
And you're patient 1.
Yeah, patient 0 in El Paso. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Wow. But I got invited to perform one of the pre-Grammy showcases was like a little showcase in a hotel, but the other one was a pre-Grammy showcase in the El Portal Theater in Hollywood. Wow. And that was actually it was pretty cool because I'll even tell you the story. It was pretty cool because it's a showcase, so we literally are just getting up and playing one song, but I went with the whole band and everything, and we performed and literally got like a standing ovation. We left and the whole theater was packed to the brim with Grammy voters and people that were going to the Grammys because that's what they're doing there. They're going to go to the Grammys the next day. So like literally the theater was packed, and then we got like a standing ovation. we played Greek specifically. We took off. We put the instruments away. I came back in to look for somebody, and like everybody was still there, kind of. And I walked in and I got another standing ovation. It was
I'm
like
kidding,
it was
man.
pretty surreal. And then after that, that wasn't even the coolest part. The coolest part was the day after, when I was actually at the Grammys, because the Grammys consist of non-televised Grammys and televised Grammys. So you're literally at the Grammys all day. Just that night, like they televise the Grammys.
Right. Uh-huh.
Like the televised part is the one that you see. So went to the Grammys, and literally every 10 yards that I would walk, somebody would be like, Damian, oh my God, your performance last night. Let me take some pictures, this and that. And it was like weird because everybody that's there are all artists. You know what I mean? So the majority are artists or producers or something in the music industry. So it was like very weird. It was like surreal to have people seeing somebody get reactions like that.
Right.
So and it was literally like that
For the musicians.
all day long. So like I would literally have people would come up to me. They're like, "Oh my God, your performance last night!" Blah blah blah. It's like they would start taking pictures with me, and people would be like sneaking their phone, taking pictures, like trying to figure out who I was because they didn't know who I was. And then in fact, I was at one point there's like an intermission to go to from the untelevised to the televised, and the untelevised were like at the Coliseum, and it's like walking distance is like the Staples Center, which is called, I don't know what else it's called now, but so you have to like walk to the other one, but there's like an intermission. So once we got into the Staples Stadium, they had like food, and like wherever they sell popcorn and all that stuff, they had like fancy stuff like sushi, and I was hungry, so I bought some sushi and I sat down, and the person that I was with, everybody spoke Spanish. So somebody had walked up and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I sit down?" And they're like, "Yeah, sit down." And then, but they had like a very heavy accent. And I'm like, "Si gustas, pues hablamos en español." And she's like, "Muchas gracias, que no sé qué." And they were like from Argentina or Spain. And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And we just started talking, and I was sharing my sushi, and we were sitting there talking. And then and I was sitting like that whole time. I was like kind of sitting, and we were just like out of view, kind of, you know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh, well, what do you guys do? Like, are you guys musicians?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we're Sony reps." And we're like, "Oh, cool. Like who do you represent, or who are you here with?" And she's like, "Oh, we're Rosalia's Sony reps from Argentina, right?" I'm pretty sure she's from Argentina, not España. But anyways, but I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like sitting here with 3 Sony reps. And I'm like, I started getting all nervous. I was like hyperventilating. I started sweating. I was like, "No, but let me get up so I can at least vent out a little," because I was wearing like a tuxedo. So I stand up so I can start venting out. And then like right when I stand up, "Oh my God, Damian!" So like I had like somebody come, "Oh, this and that, oh, your performance, this and that, let me take some pictures." They started taking pictures with me, and then like somebody else saw me, and they're like, "Hey, Damian!" And they like came over to, like, I had like a group of people, and then like another group of people were just wondering, like standardized, like trying to figure out who I was. And then like the representative for Sony, she's like, "Hey," she's like, "What did you say your name was again?" And I'm like, "Oh, Damian Wyldes." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then like I could see her like in the corner of my eye. She's like trying to figure out. She's like Googling me, trying to figure out who I am. I was like, "This is cool. This is cool." Like when you have actual Sony reps like trying to figure out who you are, because they feel like they don't know that they should know. That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So,
super cool.
So it was pretty interesting.
Sounds like a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah.
You were talking about Sony Records. I know that you have your own local label.
Yeah.
That's,
River Moon Records.
River Moon, right? That's your own label.
Yeah.
I know also that you, as a way to be in touch with the community and I guess teach and all that stuff. You also have like a little music academy.
Yeah. Well, River Moon Records engulfs most of that. It's an artist development studio. Okay. So what we do is we take artists and bring them in, help them with their vocals. I specialize vocal coaching specifically. So that's actually why I started doing that, because in a lot of places that people, especially with singers, a lot of places have like revolving doors of students, but also revolving doors of teachers. So it's like they'll start learning with like a vocal coach, and then like all of a sudden they're like not there anymore, and they like have to start with somebody new, and then it's like it keeps happening over and over. So it's like very hard to progress as a musician, especially since I have the experience as a musician. I mean, I've been singing for over 20 years, so that's how I started vocal coaching and doing the artist development, things like that. And we have a full running studio there now. So.
What instruments do you guys teach?
Guitar, bass, violin, piano, ukulele, and obviously vocals. I've taught a little bit of production as well, but cool. Which is not. It's kind of like on an artist basis. Like if I'm doing artist development and they need something like that, and I think they can benefit from it, then possibly we'll do that. Upright bass, so I can teach as well, because I used to play upright bass too, but guitar. things like that.
How do you start getting into this music, all this music thing? But I remember since you were teenagers, you would play and stuff like that at the parties and stuff.
Yeah. Abuelita.
Yeah. Abuelita. So anyway, so you've always had this musical inclination?
Yeah, always. Actually, it's funny, like, 'cause when they've asked me, and I had to actually sit down and think about that answer, because they have asked me, like, hey, like, have you always played music? Like, when did you know that you were going to be a musician, or when did you know that this was, like, what you wanted to do? And it's kind of like always, because I remember, even when I was little, I remember sneaking my dad's, like, he used to have, like, a really nice Martin acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. I remember I used to go and sneak it and take it, and then go lock myself in a room and, like, just jam like if I was, like, performing. It was weird. I mean, I was a little kid, but I remember it very well, because it's like I remember playing and be like, okay, this is what I have to learn, because this is what I'm gonna do. It's like very weird. Cool. So I didn't know, you know what I mean? Here's an even funnier story. One time when I was little, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like give a present, like, for Mother's Day, right? And then, like, I literally, like, drew out, like, a partiture, like with notes and stuff. Uh-huh. But obviously I didn't know how to write notes. And it was, I was trying to write like, it's a small world after all. Oh, wow. So I'm like, I'm writing like an undertaking. Like, I don't even know how to write music, right? So I literally sat there and wrote a paper that said, ding, 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 ding. So it was, like, hilarious. But I was like, I always had that inclination, like, oh, I need to know this.
Super
like,
cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty weird.
Super cool. So obviously it's open to the public. Where can they find that? I mean, if we have somebody that wants to take, for instance, like vocal music, lessons or whatever, where can they find you?
Oh, right now we actually have spaces available. We have new spaces that opened up. River Moon Records. Look us up on Facebook. Actually, we usually answer really fast on Facebook. We're at 6424 Gateway Boulevard East. It's like literally like two buildings right before Guitar Center. Yeah, so we're pretty close to in that little area with a bunch of music stuff. So hit us up, or give me a call, 915-251-1696, and then we can set up an evaluation for your vocals, or we can set you up for some classes. Absolutely.
Super cool. So, obviously you bring a lot to the table with all the experience that you have and all that stuff. So if you're trying to improve your music game, your artist game, hit him up for sure. Before, we run out of time, I want to talk about your record. It's the Borderland Roots. Okay. I was listening to the album, and Shaking Hands with the Devil. I really like that song. But within that album, which one is your baby? Which one is the one that you're like either, I guess, resonates more with you, or you like the music style more? Which one is your favorite?
Well, I think Skeletons, which is the song that's doing pretty decently on this album. I think that's like my kind of favorite song. Mm-hmm. It's just as far as like what the arrangements were and how the song was written and like the metaphors that it uses. It's really cool. Lyric wise, I think Still and Time to Go were like my favorite, because those were both written, like Time to Go is written like in the pandemic, and it like resonates. If you hear it, you're like, wow, it's like it just has a like a soul pain in there, you know what I mean? Nice. So it's like those are the songs that resonate. But obviously, Shaking Hands with the Devil is a very cool song. It's kind of funny because that song wasn't, we hadn't played that song, like it was a new song, and I'm like, this song needs to be on this album. So we recorded the song fresh, like we never played it live until after it was recorded, which is unusual because most of the other songs we were already like playing live for a long time, actually, for a while. And Shaking Hands with the Devil, like nobody had ever played it. So as a producer, with the producer hat on, like I had to like kind of make sure that it sounded kind of like what I needed it to sound like. Because a lot of times when we're rehearsing, I'm like, hey, do this part. This part has a break. This part needs this. Right. Trumpet needs to do this here sometimes, and just different things. So it's like in recording, like in tracking, I'm like, okay, we need to do this. We need to do that. All like kind of like in one session. It was kind of cool. It's pretty interesting.
I really like it. Where can they find your music, Damian? Are you on iTunes? Are you on Spotify or YouTube? What platforms can they actually purchase your music?
Everywhere. You guys can look me up on every music platform. iTunes, Spotify. I think the other one's Deezer. Mm-hmm. But I would recommend you, if you're going to purchase an album, I recommend you buy it from iTunes, because we had been charting on iTunes. At one point, we were like at 58 in the singer-songwriter charts on iTunes. So that's cool. So if you guys can purchase the iTunes the album on iTunes, that helps the charting and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Are we gonna see your music on a vinyl? I collect
Yes.
vinyls, so.
Yes, absolutely. Like I was gonna order vinyls right away actually, but they literally have like an 18-month wait time for processing. So it's like, it's pretty crazy right now. Vinyls are like actually really, really high demand. So in fact, the last year they surpassed CD sales. So yeah, last year, like I looked up the stats. I was like, wow, they really are actually buying them, and they're really cool collector's items. For sure. And obviously they have a different sound. They have that analog sound and feel and different warmth. So it's 100%. It's absolutely fabulous. So yeah, look out for that. I shall have.
I think your music on a vinyl is gonna be it's gonna be great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sure. I'll put it on and just listen to it.
Yeah. Speaking of the album, and something that I personally like about albums, and I'm a collector, as you guys know, probably own about 3,000 vinyls. I have my little jazz section, little blues section. It was a little bit harder to come across, but then I have a lot of rock. If it had long hair, it happened in the 70s and 80s, I probably have the record. But something that I love about these vinyls is not only that it's art in the form of music, but it's also art in the form of the actual art on the vinyl. Not on the vinyl, but also the cardboard. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at your art. Who does your art?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. You do the drawings?
Yeah, I do. I do all the art. Well, most of it is graphic, and some of it is designed through to look like if it's painted and then all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I do all my album art. Yeah, I've done it. Every time it was just for me because I needed to look a certain way. I couldn't get it from anybody else. So I was just like, well, let me just do it myself. So I just eventually got better and better.
Wow. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, look at the art of the albums. It's pretty cool. I think there was one that you have. Was it a Mama Bear? Which one is it? I think you have it. Kind of looks like a dream catcher thing.
Oh, that's Disengage. Yeah, that's like a dream catcher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool art. And I'm sure this, is the Borderland Roots. It's gonna be pretty cool with the art and the album and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait to grab it, man. Whenever you get one, let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good deal. So I hear you. Okay, so you say you were trying to get nominated for what awards have you won so far?
I've won a few ISSA awards. I've been nominated for 2 HMMA awards, which is Hollywood Music and Media, and I've won 2 WSA awards. I actually also have been nominated for an IMA award, and I've won 2 other awards, which are like IAMI award also, International Music, something like that, and another one as well, but I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
Nice.
Yes, I've had like a few different ones. Yeah.
If you want to catch you live, brother, where can we find you? Do you guys perform here locally?
Yeah, we do perform locally. Shout out to Silo. They've been kind of like a home to us. We'll be back soon to Silo, which is like over there on Sunset, like way deep in the west side. But we perform in a lot of festivals, like La Viña wine festivals, things like that. We're usually performing in those. We recently just did La Viña wine festival, but in Silver City, and then that same day we performed at the Border City Folk Festival here in El Paso. So that was, so we're doing a lot of little things like that. I do have a booking agent, so we'll probably start playing a lot more out of town soon. It's just setting it up and things like that. Planning to go to the UK and things. So.
Do you ever do private events?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll do private events anytime.
And we can get a hold of you through the same.
Yeah. Message me through either River Moon Records or Damian Wyldes on Facebook, and then and we can contact like that. I'm under Midnight Moon Management, anyways, but you can still contact me, and I'll either I'll talk to you myself, or I'll have somebody. I'll direct you to the proper person, proper channel, or whatever.
Awesome. It's been great having you, man. It's been great having you. I mean, we can keep on going for hours and hours and hours, but I want to make sure that we capture at least. I know you're busy and stuff. We want to capture as much as we can. Anything else you want to add?
Oh no, thank you for having me, man. Absolutely, I appreciate it. And you guys, like I said, check it out. Check out the album anywhere online that you can purchase music. iTunes, Spotify, anything like. Add me to your playlist on Spotify, please, and all that kind of good stuff.
What can we do as a community to support local artists, man?
Just honestly, because a lot of times people will not purchase like a song that's like $1, but they'll like, they'll buy like a $5 cup of coffee, like it's nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of weird, but if you can purchase the music, that's probably the best thing. Second best thing is just sharing the info. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't cost anything to share the info. So sharing the information and just being like, hey, I heard this song, blah blah blah, and posting on it, and people will be like, oh, cool, check it out. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of spreading the word.
Nice.
Definitely.
So I doubt you haven't heard Damian before, but if you haven't heard Damian in his music before, by all means check him out, guys. You're in for a treat. I mean, you can just grab some whiskey, turn on the music and just chill, relax, and you're gonna be exposed to so much stuff, musically speaking, and the arrangements and the lyrics. The lyrics are they're deep. Again, greed. It's shaking hands with the devil, still. I mean, all these, they all have a very different, I guess, venue that they, get you into and stuff. But anyway, check them out, guys. If you haven't done so, please check him out. Add him on Spotify. Go to iTunes. Get some of his music. You can always miss out on one cup of coffee at Starbucks and, support our local artists. And please share this video so that, we can get more audience for our local artists. Damian, thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Check it out. We're going to have the full podcast on YouTube, also on these social media outlets. I'm going to tag Damian so you can have Damian's information with the whole link and stuff. So give him a follow if you're not following, if you're not doing so yet. And if you are, make sure you buy the music and get in line for when the vinyl is ready. Without further ado, thank you so much for coming, brother.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Till next time. Take care, guys. Next time I talk to you guys, it'll be real estate.